Up next, we're going to be having Dark Souls 3 with spacey1. Who's excited for some Dark Souls? And we're actually ready with the game right now, so let's throw it over to spacey1. Take it away.
All right, we good? All right. So this is Dark Souls 3. Time will start once I hit yes on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm spacey1. My Twitch name is spacey1_ because I am apparently not fast enough to get a name without an underscore. Maybe you should have invited the real spacey1 here, that's all I'm saying. But first thing you might notice, we picked Assassin for our starting class. Literally the only reason we pick Assassin for the starting class is because it starts with Spook, which is a spell that negates fall damage. And it's only supposed to negate fall damage up to a point, and then it should kill you anyway, but we have a way around that as well. But even without the glitched use as a Spook that we're going to be doing, it's still a very fast spell to have, letting you survive more falls than you normally could, or just saving time healing. The S-Doc that we start with is actually really bad. We're literally going to be dropping it as soon as we can. So this is the first boss. I'm going to be doing 13 R1s, 4 charged R2s, and 2 R1s total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. 2 charged R2s while he's transforming. Now I'm going to regen stam so I can do 2 more charged R2s to stagger and then immediately counter hit. And now 2 R1s to finish the fight. And that's boss 1. And literally now we're going to drop the S-Doc because we don't like the S-Doc. But also it does save us, I think, 4 inputs over the course of the run. So there is a reason that we're actually dropping it. Now we're just going to run into Firelink here, or we can think of it kind of as the supermarket, because this is where we're going to do all our shopping for the run. And it's also where we're going to come back to level up. So you can only level up from the shrine in DS3. So I'm going to buy some stuff that we're going to use later. I'm going to infuse my short sword with fire. And because this is a marathon run, I'm also going to allot my Estus now. In actual attempts, we would save that for later, but we're going to do it now for safety. Now we're just going to be warping to High Wall. And while we're running through High Wall, we're just going to grab some stuff that we're going to be using for our first glitch of the run, I think, which is Tumble Buff, which is something we'll be using for early game. But I'll explain it a little more when we get there. For now, I'm just going to be running through picking up some stuff, so I think we could do like 2 or 3 donations real quick.
Yeah, we have a couple of donations to be fed through here. But while we get those up, we do also want to remind you about the Bloodborne incentive. We're at 164,000 out of the 250 needed. So by the end of this run, we just need all those donations in. And a lot of them are feeding through, but we could also always use more.
All right, so first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the resin, which resin is something you use to buff your weapon in this game, like in the other Souls games. But we infused our short sword with fire element, so normally that means that you can't buff your weapon with resin. But the tumble buff is going to let us do exactly that. There's one more item we need for the tumble buff, and it's one of the most annoying to get. So hopefully I don't die here or have to quit out, but I may have to quit out at least. We'll see. So this guy is scary. That's not a bad attack, though. Okay, so I'm going to get on this ladder from the right here. Is this guy. Okay, or not. He usually just kind of runs against the ladder for a bit if you run from the left, but he was already too far down the ladder, I think. So unfortunately, I had to just quit out here. Which loses time, but we don't die, so we'll do what we have to. And now, one of the things you can use quit outs for in this game is it de-aggroes all the enemies. They all return to their original spawn position. There's some other stuff we're going to do with quit outs later, like for skips and stuff. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But already you're going to see us using Spook now, just to get down here a lot faster. You can do this drop a little bit differently without Spook, but you will take a lot of fall damage and have to heal it off, which is slow. That's an Ember. Talk more about it later. That's just a safety item, basically. So now we've got our tumble buff stuff. I'm going to equip it. I have to run up here to grab a banner, which will let us get to the next area after we kill the second boss. But I have to come up here first. Talk to Emma very quickly. And now I'm immediately going to start prepping the tumble buff. So the first step of prepping a tumble buff is to try to use the item but fail. You get that what we call a butt scratch animation. So that's step one. You can also successfully use the item and it'll still prep it for a tumble buff, but in this case we want to, we can't use the item normally, so we have to just butt scratch. And now I'm going to drop it from my inventory. This isn't technically necessary for the tumble buff, but it does mean that I'm also duping the resin in addition to tumble buffing it. And then I cast Spook, spam daggers at the end of the throwing animation, end of the Spook animation. And instead of throwing the daggers, even though I get the dagger animation, I actually use the resin. One hit off there. We have a strat to cancel the charge there, but with the RNG he was giving me, I wanted to see if I could kill him without canceling. Thank you. You can even just kill him before he buffs sometimes if he gives you the right RNG, but I think I decided to go for it too late. Yeah, so we rested that bonfire to, it makes the doors open faster, actually. So, it's convenient. Just a free Estus refill. I'm gonna drop down here to get some items. These are alluring skulls. We're gonna use these in a few places for safety. They just attract enemy attention. So there's a few places we can use them to get dogs in particular to leave us alone, because dogs in this game. Dogs are pretty notorious in Souls games in general, but especially in this game, they'll actually teleport like into you, so it makes it really hard to consistently avoid them. Oh, nice lag spike. Okay. But yeah, you'll probably get to see some of them teleport later, because we don't have enough skulls to use them everywhere there are dogs. And here I'm going to pick up my first healing upgrade, which is an Estus Shard. There are two types of healing upgrades in this game, Estus Shards and Undead Bone Shards. Estus Shards increase the number of drinks I get in my Estus Flask, which is my healing item. Bone Shards will show up by the Estus Flask word down there. It'll say plus whatever, however many Bone Shards you burned. And those increase how much each drink heals for. So in general, if I have the choice, Bone Shards are more valuable than Estus Shards. In a casual playthrough, lag though. In a casual playthrough, you can get all the way up to 15 Estus plus 2, which means 15 drinks and 2 bone shard or 10 bone shards. But we're gonna go to 6 plus 2 Estus instead, because that's what we can conveniently grab. And you don't really need much more than that anyway. Running up to our third boss here, but I have to get through this area first. There's a strat to actually bait the guy from the door out of the door that usually works. If I drink Estus about here, yeah, he backed up, that's fine. Could have been worse, could have been better. Got clipped by the pitchfork guy. All right, so we're gonna butt scratch again. We're duping our resin again, so I'm gonna take it off my bar so that I can drop it and dupe it. And this time we're actually duping fire resin that we picked up onto a fire weapon, which, because of the way defenses are calculated in Dark Souls 3, means we're going to do a lot more damage than we did with lightning and on a fire weapon. And Greatwood is also weak to fire, so he gets pretty destroyed. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 on this hand. I run away to stop him from doing an attack, because I don't want him to do an attack. I want him to go straight into phase 2. So I run away. Then I run back in now. Should be good. Yep. Break that with 1 hit. Now this is phase 2. 1, 2, and then 4. 3, 4. That's Greatwood. Now we just warp back to long rested. Warp back to last rested. Now we're coming up to the first hardest trick in the game. There are 2 tricks that are generally considered some of the hardest in the run. 2 that I'm most worried about, and the first one's coming up soon. But we got a bit of a run there, so if you're ready with donations, we can do some donations now.
Alrighty there. I have $25 from Tragic Kiwi, saying Spacey's runs are always amazing. I can't get enough of watching you learn and do amazing things. Keep up the good work. Sending love and support from the back couch. Praise the sun.
That's my wife.
We also have a $250 donation from Dylan M. that says, had to donate for one of my favorite games in recent years. Good luck, Spacey, and praise the sun.
Dude, go ahead and do one more, and then I'll start explaining the next trick.
Sure. How about an $888 donation by a messenger from the galleys? May this donation grant us insight into that dark beast cancer. Money goes to the Bloodborne run. Fear the old blood.
All right, so this trick, I'm not going to explain the whole trick just yet. I'll wait till I get it, but the important thing to know at the beginning is there's a jump that I have to do that's... heard some people say it's a 6-frame jump, some people say it's a 3-frame jump timing, but 3 sounds more impressive, so we'll go with that. Light this bonfire for safety. Need to make sure I have my alluring skulls on here, because this is the first spot we're going to use them. I'm going to run straight off an edge, throw a skull near the edge where I land, so that it'll lure some dogs to jump off for me. As if they don't, I have to kill them normally, just slower. So right here, run off this tree at the correct angle. Skull. There we go. Please be nice. Okay, see, he thought about not falling off there. All right, so this is the jump. Line myself up here. Okay. No, okay, that's fine. I didn't die, but I didn't get it. I didn't get what I needed either. If I... There we go, we got it. Okay. So I am now what's in what we call a death cam state. This is triggered by the boxes that tell the camera to stay stationed above you when you fall to your death. So they usually put them over pits. That one they put just a little bit too high. We can grab it without dying. And the other thing that death cam does, you'll see in just a second, we can't hit load triggers anymore. So this part of the map is just a little bit deloaded. But anything permanent, like walls and trees, are still here. But anything that moves, like enemies, or say perhaps, I don't know, a shortcut gate that we're only supposed to be able to access from the other side, yeah, those are deloaded. So we're just going to do this. Then we're going to quit out to get rid of the death cam, because we don't want to go fight the next boss like this. At least I don't. Feel free to do it at home if you want. The skip still works on current patch. And when we load back in, we're just gonna pop this open. We just skipped all of Farron Keep. We just skipped the entire swamp, all the fires we have to extinguish. So it saves about 1:40 actually. It's also one of the biggest skips in the run, as well as being one of the hardest. So second try, but not dying to it, I'm pretty happy with. And we're coming up to another skip immediately, too. So if you like skips, you'll like Dark Souls 3. Just paying attention here. Okay. So the next boss is Abyss Watchers, and you're going to see me do some stuff at the gate. The reason I'm doing that is just to put my foot in a very specific position and to make sure that the game saves my position there. This trick is not terribly difficult, but if you do mess it up, you can't retry it without loading a save file. So even though this trick isn't too hard, it can be scary, like in marathons or in races. It's always scary. We've had people in tournaments, they just go a little too fast on this skip and they mess it up, and then they just kind of stall out here when they can't load a save file. So our damage at this point is not great, even with the tumble buff here. So I took that route just to try and de-aggro these guys. See, if they run all the way over to me, I have to just quit out. But it looks like they're not, so just position myself here. Line up my camera a certain way. Here, should be good. R2, forward. Make sure the game saves my position. So I waited a little bit. Quit out and reload. So all that, again, was just to make sure the game saved my position in a specific spot. If I didn't get it, I will be clipped through the fog gate here, which can't really get out of. But this should be good. We're all good. Okay, cool. So now we just loaded into the fight without activating the fog gate, and the fog gate, as it turns out, is the trigger for their AI. So, yeah, we're just kind of gonna slowly put them out of their misery. And watch the Watcher's animation here as I skip this cutscene. Immediately stands up, yeah. So his Phase 2 AI, for whatever reason, is also tied to the fog gate. This is the only boss we can glitch like this, though, on current patch, or even on all bosses patch. A lot of bosses actually work the same way, but yes, okay, clap for that, that's fine. Now I'm doing another application of the tumble buff glitch. I tried to use a soul and then canceled it, and then I did the tumble buff, the same button combination I'd used for tumble buff, casting spook and then spamming a dagger right at the end. And that gives me the souls as if I had used the soul, but if I drop the soul on the ground, it won't be consumed. So I can dupe souls that way. But you can dupe infinitely that way, but it's really, really slow. So in this run, you only see us duping when we have downtime, when we can't be doing something else, because it's very slow to do it otherwise. And you would, even if you duped like forever to get really powerful, you would not make anywhere near your time back. But in early game in particular, I'm going to be trying to squeeze those in because I want to be able to hit, missed that jump. I want to be able to hit Dex soft cap on my first level up. That's important. I'm coming up on another sketchy area here, so I'm going to play this safe. I'll quit out if I have to. But the cycles on these guys can vary a lot, because as you can see, that guy, they can just get stuck on the walls like that when they're walking, and that makes their patrol paths very hard to predict. A lot of enemies, you can predict their patrol paths, but these guys, just for some reason, they just walk into things, and then you'll have no idea where they're going to be. Yeah. Quit out again, unfortunately, because I had to quit out early there. So we're going to lose time, but we're not going to die. And it's quite a run back from here, so I'm going to do what we have to. But this item here that I'm picking up is very important. I picked up a large shard, which we'll be using later. But those ashes I just picked up are very important. Those are a thing we're going to be using. Okay, I rolled there. He has a follow-up where he jumps after you. He'll sometimes do after that attack, so I rolled to be safe. But those ashes, when we turn them into the Shrine Handmaiden, they will let us buy the first tier of upgrade materials. I think even the wiki doesn't have it listed that Grave Wardens will let you buy normal shards. The wiki's only lists Dream Chaser, which is like a minute out of the way. But we can just grab those. And in general, you're going to see us picking up ashes to buy our upgrade materials rather than, you know, just picking upgrade materials up directly. We pick up like 2 upgrade materials and the rest we buy because it just works out a lot faster. Because with a Titanite weapon, you need like 12 of each tier of upgrade material, so it ends up being like 37 materials you need total. And that's just slow to pick up. I'm gonna tumble buff here again. Wolnir doesn't actually aggro here until I attack him if I come on the outside here. So I'm just gonna do that to kill the first bracelet immediately. 7 hits on this bracelet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't want to break it in this position, actually. I want to wait till it's there. That was a hand hit there. Hand hits do seriously reduced damage to the bracelet. Almost none. Saw that coming. Okay. There we go. So that's unfortunate, but we're not dead. Yeah, hand hits do severely reduced damage to the bracelet. Like, almost negligible, at least in terms of the speedrun cycle. So anytime you swing at his arm and see the hand move, you know you basically just can't count that hit. But we played it safe there to make sure we didn't die. Because the vape will kill you really fast. Now we're just running down here to pick up one more upgrade material. And we're also going to grab a bonfire that we can use to warp to a boss later. Which is what makes it okay for us to go all the way down here to get this upgrade material. Because otherwise, this one would be way too out of the way. So this is the second and final upgrade material we'll be picking up. And there's a small trick here I'm going to go for, because it doesn't waste any time to try for it, but... missed it. So... basically, that skeleton doesn't always follow you, but... basically, you can activate the bone and the bonfire at the same time, which brings up the bone menu while you're using the bonfire. It looks cool, but it saves like barely any time. But it does save a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to buy our materials here, buy all the homeward bones we'll use for the rest of the run, and upgrade to +4. We're also going to upgrade our Estus while we're here. Infusing with Sharp, which I got the Sharp Gem in Undead Settlement. Sharp Gem is very important. Twin Blades, a lot of people talk about how overpowered Twin Blades are. And they are really good when they're set up right, but actually when you get them like as a starter weapon, they're not that great. They're much better weapons. Their scaling is what's good about them. Their base damage isn't very good. So until you've got it infused Sharp and you've got soft cap decks like we do, they're kind of meh. And then we're running on our way to our next boss. Crystal Sage. I think we could do a few donations on the way to Crystal Sage. Should be fun. Of course, of course. We got a lot of love for you and the Souls-like games. We got Paul G rolls in with $250 saying, knock it out the park, Spacey. Praise the sun. Money towards the Bloodborne run. Speaking of Bloodborne, we are just under $50,000 away. That gap is closing really quick. Thank you guys for all the donations rolling through that incentive so far. Speaking of that, we have a $500 donation by the Sound Defense that says, Bloodborne is one thing, but cutting hair, that's something I definitely have to donate for. All right, so we just picked up a kind of an important item. It's the Grass Crest Shield. And the reason we pick up the Grass Crest Shield, even though we won't be using a shield the entire run, other than for parries. Oh, lag spikes. Hopefully, wow, this area is super laggy for some reason. Hopefully it doesn't persist in other areas. But the reason we pick up and carry Grass Crest the entire run is because even when it's on my back like this, Grass Crest increases my stamina regen. And we'll talk a little bit more about stamina after the boss. But having better stamina regen is a big deal. Okay, so there's 2 ways we can do this boss. Since he gave me that, he didn't give me the other opener. This is what I have to do. Come on, he's trolling me here. There we go. You can parry Sage, Pog. Whoa, and then I messed it up. Ugh. That's what I get for trying to meme, I guess. He only needs 1 hit. Oh, he's right by the door at least. Okay, that was my bad. Focusing too much on the memes. Yeah, so you can parry that one particular attack. But then when he's getting up from the riposte, you can't attack him too early or you'll whiff like that because he'll still be in iframes. So I messed up the one cycle, but yeah, that parry is the strat. Parry riposte bundle 4R1s. Now we're coming up to some more dogs. This is the place where you're most likely to get to see them teleport, unless I have to quit out for them like immediately. Let's run past this guy. This area is filled with dogs. We're gonna get, I think, 3 of them on us for going this way. Maybe it's 2. Yeah, so just watch them. Like, see now, it looks like, yeah, there. If I can get one to teleport, there we go. Yep. So that's dogs in this game. And it's like actually terrible because, you know, otherwise there are strats you could do. I think they're gone though. There's strats you could do otherwise, you know, like getting them caught on objects to get them stuck, but dogs, it doesn't matter. They will just teleport straight at you. The other funny thing that dogs can do is actually teleport themselves right out of the map and just die when they fall out of bounds. So that's satisfying when that happens. I love dogs in real life, by the way. But not in this game. Okay, sorry, let me get my menu here. All right, so now I'm gonna talk about, now's when I'm gonna explain stamina management. Stamina management is a big part of running this game, both in fights and in just the running sections. So my stamina there is my green bar. And basically, at the simplest sense, I just wanna keep bouncing that green bar between almost empty and almost full. If I empty it all the way, then I won't be able to sprint again until it's basically full. And then if I fill it all the way, obviously, and just leave it full, then I'm just wasting stamina. So that's the very simplest term. But the thing where it gets important is the fact that where I'm at in my stamina bar as I'm approaching enemies affects where they're at in their patrol cycles. And so like if I get to a boss, or if I approach where an enemy loads, there we go. If I approach where an enemy loads with really low stamina, that means I got there fast. So if I then have to regen as I'm coming up to them, I'm moving slower than I would if I had full stamina when I load them. And so that's a lot of what determines enemy patrol paths and where they are in their patrol paths when I get to them. So consistent stamina management is kind of the key to predicting enemy movement for the most part. And then it also comes into play because whether you're sprinting, if you're sprinting, you make more noise basically. So enemies that you come up behind will hear you sooner and aggro to you sooner if you're sprinting behind them than they will if you're regen stam behind them. So we'll do both things. Some enemies we will deliberately regen stamina right behind them so they aggro later, and then other ones we will make sure we sprint towards. We will make sure that we sprint towards. Messed up here. Make sure we sprint towards so that they aggro and try to attack early so we get a consistent pattern. There we go. Now I'm using the dagger that I got here, that I bought back in Firelink. I'm just doing the dagger weapon art, which is quick step, which lets me just quick step through this muck here. It is the fastest way to get through this mud. All right, and then I also picked up a ring. It's the first ring we're gonna get. It's a damage ring called Lloyd's Sword Ring. And what it does is gives me a 10% damage boost at full health. So, you know, in DS1 they use red Tearstone Ring, which gives you like, I think in that game it's 50%, while it, like really low health, I don't remember how much. But in this one, RTSR is nerfed and also later in the game and also slower to get. So we don't actually use RTSR in this one, we just use Lloyd's instead, which gives us 10% while at full health. So you'll see me top off a lot before bosses, even when I look like I have more health than I need, and that's so that I can get that 10% buff. And there are some fights where that really matters for the cycle, where the cycles go way different if you accidentally get hit early. So sometimes you want to trade on bosses, and sometimes it's not worth trading because you'll lose Lloyds. But this is Deacons. Deacons, I think most people find this boss annoying, but really easy casually. They are still annoying in the speedrun. In other categories, they're actually difficult. Nice. Jumped out at the last second. That can happen. Obviously loses time if it does. 4. Oh. Yeah, see, he poked me there, and then I got Wrath of Gods. That's why Deacons are annoying. Less about dying and more about just losing time. And we're gonna warp to, we're on our way to Pontiff now. A lot of people's, Pontiff is the place where a lot of people get stuck first casually. We'll talk about him more when we're a little bit closer. But first we have to get through Irithyll. And before we even get through Irithyll, we're gonna get our second ring, actually, from the big crocodog, as I call him, or sometimes we call him Pontiff Doggo. But we're gonna get a ring from him. He's very nicely going to hand it to us after we boop him on the snoot. So, I really like this strat. It's not hard at all. You just have to learn like where the foot positioning is. But I still like it, and it looks really cool. I forgot to buy some stuff. I'll have to buy it later, it's fine. So yeah, you just stand right about here. This attack always goes the same distance. Just boop him on the snoot, then give him some belly rubs. And he nicely hands us a ring. Pay no attention to the death cry. That's unrelated. Yeah, so this ring is a bit more complicated to explain, but it's also a damage ring. What it does is, the way the game just describes it, the game just says successive hits give you a damage buff, but the way it actually works is it gives you, for each like 3 hits with the kind of weapon we're using, within 5 seconds, it'll give us a stack of its buff, and then at each level, like each number of stacks, you get a different damage boost. It's really only significant when you get max stacks, which is 3, and at 3 stacks you get another 10% buff. But we're using Twin Blades, so Twin Blade L1s, each half of the hit, since they're separate hitboxes, counts as 1 hit, so we can get it a lot faster with Twin Blades than you could with a normal weapon. Oh yeah, we're out of bounds, by the way. Just really quick. Yeah, you can clap for that. It's harder than it looks, but it's not the hardest skip in the run by any means. That was found by this Hex, our skip finding god. You might see some of his skips in the Bloodborne run as well. He has found a lot for Dark Souls and Bloodborne. He's a good guy. So now this water, this is deep water. We're actually just gonna fast roll through this rather than using the dagger, because fast rolling is faster than using the dagger. The reason we couldn't fast roll through the swamp is because, or the muck, is because it literally prevents you from fast rolling. You get stuck with a slower roll animation we call a fat roll. And I'll explain a little bit more about how that works later as well when we get to Grand Archives. So here's a good example of stamina management to affect when an enemy aggros. So I want to be low on stamina when I approach this chair here and then start sprinting now. And see, he noticed me later there because I was quiet, because I have no armor on, and also because I walked behind him. That's just a little tiny strat. Otherwise, you have to roll, which is a little bit slower than just being able to run by him. So we use our second skull. But then there are 3 more dogs up here, which are incredibly mean. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to quit out and hope that they don't teleport into me and attack. There we go. Yeah, that part sucks. They jumped at me immediately as well, which they don't always do. Sometimes they'll just stay there and bark at you, and that's really what you want to see. And you can run by them and get around the corner and hopefully not have to quit out or have to heal. But having to quit out and having to heal here is slow, but we need to be at full health because we need our Lloyd's buff for the Pontiff cycle. So we're coming up to Pontiff. This boss is challenging a lot casual, like when you first get to him, but and he challenges new runners a bit too, a lot, because you really have to nail the cycle. And it is a lot of button presses, especially with twin blades, that you have to do fairly quickly. But once you're used to him, he's really not bad. So I'm going to parry, riposte, stay in front of him, 2 L1s. Parry, riposte again after I switch shields for stam. I'm going to get behind him. That makes him take more time turning around before he goes phase 2. Just back out for the AoE. And he's just 1 hit from dead here. That's Pontiff. Grab this bonfire for safety. And now we've got another long run. So, yeah, why don't we go ahead and do some donations?
Sure, let's go ahead with that. I have $500 rolling in. By the Leakest Wink, saying, super excited for the Dark Souls 3 run. Best of skill to spacey1. Hope to see no Storm Ruler Yorm. And ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to announce that that donation incentive has been met.
Nice.
We have an anonymous $500 donation that says, gotta donate to my favorite Souls game. Keep up the good work, everyone.
All right, so we've got 1 item that we're picking up here that's of note. This is what we're going to use to buy our large shards here, so we don't have to pick up any more. And then that's pretty much the only other item. Running through this area is scary at first, but if you're consistent with your stamina, these enemies are fairly consistent. And then we're just going to be coming up to a giant elevator that we're going to have to wait for. And we're just going to dupe once while we're waiting for that elevator. But go ahead and read some more donations.
You got it. I've got $250 coming in from Lord Raven, saying, come on, people. You know you want to see not only Bloodborne, but more GDQ. Let's get some more Bloodborne hype. We have a $100 donation from Yason, saying, finally a Souls game. These games give me back the old feelings of not being able to beat it and then the relief of moving on to the next area. Lost my mother to cancer 2 years ago. Let's slay this boss once and for all and kindle a fire for all the souls we lost to it. Money to Bloodborne.
Yeah, this is like the slowest elevator in the game. I think I'm going to just rest at this bonfire anyway. We're definitely going to grab it because not grabbing this bonfire, if I do happen to die, not grabbing this bonfire is a massive time loss. Wow, lag. It's like 5 minutes just for the run back. Then we're going to run through Silver Knight. I hope this doesn't mess up his cycle because I want you to see there's a thing he can do. It's really funny. Hopefully he does the normal attack. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that just misses somehow. You're like right there. It looks like you're right in the hitbox. I guess it just has a late start up, but it's pretty funny. Now we're going to jump down to Aldrich on these stairs here. You don't actually need Spook even to survive this fall without taking fall damage, provided that I do not land on the chest. If I land anywhere but the chest, I will be fine. But it saves us 2 seconds casting Spook. That's the chest. Well, that's lag. There we go. Yeah, so this is Aldrich. The main strat here, Aldrich is mostly about knowing how to punish his attacks, but he's also partly about just kind of RNG. We're going to be kind of manipulating where he teleports to make sure that he doesn't give us phase 2 arrows. But that's about all we can manipulate with this fight, unfortunately. Phase 1 arrows is fine. Just do that behind him. Oh, he also takes more damage if you hit him in the Gwendolyn. So we try to do that as much as possible. Yeah, so he teleports as far from me as possible. So what I do is I stand very slightly on, not to get the fire too much. I'll take a 3 cycle. Yeah, so I stand very slightly on the opposite end of one particular corner. And then when he's about to go there, I start running. Ooh, that damage. This is the worst attack as well. And play it safe. Okay. That's fine. 3 cycle. Yeah, so that fight, unfortunately, whether you get a 2 or a 3 cycle kind of just depends on what attacks he gives you. And he did not give me any particularly good attacks there to get a 2 cycle. So now we're going to buy these. I'm going to sell my souls. In a normal run, we've actually routed out even selling any souls at all because it is faster by a few seconds to not ever have to go into that part of the inventory. But for a marathon run, I'm going to sell souls and just get a little bit of extra health. And we're actually going to get all of that extra health right now. This is going to look disgusting, but I promise this is the only time we'll be touching Vigor. We do actually need at some point to get 20 Vigor. But for marathon safety, we'll just get 24 and we'll get it right now. Just a minute. And now we're on our way to Yorm, so we'll be coming up to that incentive. But we got one cool skip before we do. But actually, we can get a few donations before we get to the skip.
For sure. We have an anonymous $250 donation saying, "Let's go, Dark Souls 3." We have $250 coming in from Pontiff Sullivan saying, "Stop stabbing me. I worked hard for those souls."
No.
And then we have a $1,000 donation. Kept anonymous, but it's saying 1,000 blood echoes to see Zeus make Bloodborne look easy. Free the beard and unlock the ladders.
We get one more.
We have $200 coming in from Tunneling Geek saying, "Bloodborne run anyone? Let's go!"
All right, so we're in the Earthhill Dungeon. This is another place people get lost a lot in casually, and they hate it. But we have a skip here you can do if you really hate this area and you just want to get through it as quickly as possible. You just, okay, walk on here a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to position myself right here. Cast Spook again to buffer the roll input, and then roll and land right on that. And that is just high enough, just close enough to you that you will not die from fall damage, even as long as you have Spook on. Tears of Denial will also let you land there. Up down here. Okay. I'm actually going to warp back to Firelink really quick, because I forgot that jump that I missed way back in Catacombs. There's a route adjustment I have to make if I missed that jump, and I forgot about it. And it's not super crucial, but it does make... it makes one cool strat possible on one of the fights, so I'm going to go ahead and warp back and grab it real quick. You could just read 2 or 3 donations while I do.
Sure thing. We have $170 from Frost Shattered saying, "In the name of Hailstorm Network from Germany, all the best for AGDQ, hashtag Sunbros against cancer." We have another $1,000 donation from Eileen the Crow that says that one-hit KO LTTP run was incredible, and the Soulsborne series is my favorite of all time. Bloodborne hype? We have $50 from Bloodborne Incentive that says, "I really want to be met, please."
All right, so the next boss is, his name is Yorm. He's meant to be, there we go. He's meant to be a gimmick boss. There's an item in his room which you can charge up, and it does insane damage to Yorm and only to Yorm. It's just a Demon Souls reference, basically. But you can actually kill him without it, and because of the incentive, that's what we're going to do. But we are still going to pick up the Storm Ruler because I actually use it for a setup for a skip later. So we will still get to see it in our inventory, and I will have it equipped at one point, but not for Yorm. So the trick to Yorm without Storm Ruler, he takes very little damage to his feet, and that's the first thing people tend to notice when they start a fight with him. And here's the weapon here. Okay. There we go. But He takes decent damage to his head and his hands. Specifically, when possible, you want to hit his head and then his unbracered hand. See, he's got a bracer on one of his hands, and then see, you get this. If you hit his head or his unbracered hand, you get a stagger that lets you riposte him for not too bad damage. And then hitting the bracered hand is still worth it because it takes extra damage and it gets you a different stagger. And that stagger's not as good, but it still lets you get good damage, so it's still worth going for it when you can't hit the other hand or the head. That's the less good stagger. And then this is just phase 2. I can still hit this hand here. As much as possible, I want to bait that attack because it lets me hit the head. The stomp I'm not too worried about because it doesn't do damage. There we go. See, we're getting that health bar down pretty fast, actually. It's definitely not, doesn't take as long as some people think it does. Oh, can we I don't think this is gonna kill with the riposte. Oh well. Rip swag finish. But there we go. That's Yorm. And now we are immediately into the next boss, and this is why I bought the bleed here. What bleed does is it doesn't add any extra damage to your weapon at first, but it builds a bar that we can't see. And once that bar fills up, then it does a bunch of damage all at once. So we'll see that with Dancer here. Kind of just gonna try to focus on this fight though. That's Emma again, but she was dying anyway. We had to put her out of her misery. She was just gonna die slower if we didn't do that. Here to trigger the fight. It's a bad opener. This is fine though. Nice. She's in really good position here too. Yep, that's a spin kill. That's why I wanted the bleed, because the bleed makes that spin kill possible, and that's a really beautiful strat to nail. I'm happy I got it. Yeah, so you can hit her while she's in her spin there. Her hitbox on that actually only extends kind of in front of her, and sort of like 180 degrees in front of her. So if you, it's harder than it sounds, I guess, because like she will still track you. So you have to position yourself slightly to the side here. And just balance out that good Dancer fight. Stuck on a wall there. I want to take this bonfire then. I have to get this bonfire anyway, and I can just risk getting hit by the guys if I want to. You get iframes while you're lighting bonfires, but it is possible for the enemies to hit you like right as you get out of your bonfire iframes, but before you regain control of your character. So potentially you can get double hit there, and not with this amount of health, but normally in this part of the run we'd be at base health still. Oh, I forgot I was gonna rest there. That's the whole reason I quit out. But yeah, it's risky. I'll risk it in real runs though, but for a marathon run, and with my, yeah, I had enough Estus, but a little extra is nice. So now we're on our way to Oseros. A lot of people like Oseros casually because of the lore and stuff like that. And I mean, the voice acting's good. Like, I get that, but it's mechanically a really annoying fight for a few reasons. Just hop off that elevator there. Yet again, Spook saving us time in an intended way. So I'm gonna equip a specific armor combination. And this matters normally in real runs. It won't matter with this much extra health, but normally, again, we're still at base health here. And with this exact armor combination, which is the top part is Assassin and the bottom part is the Herald set, which is what the extra armor we picked up, we would normally survive one of his phase 2 attacks with exactly 1 HP. And so that allows us to be at base vigor without risking getting killed by this particular attack. So that's a neat bit of min-maxing there. Even with this much health, it's still beneficial to take as little damage from it as possible, because it means I have to heal less. Okay, see, this is one bad thing. Just immediate vape. If he waits to vape, I can at least stagger him out of it. But if he does it right after he just staggered, or if he starts the fight with it, I can just hope I can hit his tail. And the worst is sometimes he'll back up into a corner and do that. And then you're just kind of screwed. Okay. See that charge he's about to do? That one. So he finishes his normal charge with this kind of really fast charge. There we go. We got him. No memes there. Yeah, so he can follow up that charge with a really fast charge, but then the thing is that he can just kind of go straight into that charge at point blank range. And you literally cannot dodge it on reaction if you are like right up next to him. I don't know why they allow him to do that right in front of you. Like if he only did it at long range, which he will also do it at long range, then it's fine because you can dodge it very quickly on reaction, but yeah, when he does it at close range, there's not always something you can do about it. We have a general idea of where you have to be to trigger him to do it, so we try to stay out of that area. We try to stay to his legs more. But he can still just kind of, he will like turn 90 degrees and then immediately insta-charge you. And so that's why we make sure to have enough armor that we can tank that one instant charge without dying. Because there's only so much you can do to prevent it. Now we're gonna go fight Champ Gundyr. I deliberately skipped that bonfire because it saves actually a lot of time if I skip that bonfire, because it allows me to just bone immediately to last rested here after I do what I need to do here. So even though I'm facing kind of a long run back if I die, I really want to save that time because it saves an extra warp, which RTA, that's a lot. But this is a parry boss. There is some RNG in this fight with how long he takes to give me a parryable attack. First attack's always parryable. This is not parryable. That is, though. Now he's gonna go into phase 2, which is always parryable. So this is free. Now I need one more parryable attack from him. For this lag spike here. There we go. That wasn't parryable anyway. This is, though. Okay, so that was pretty good RNG, actually. That was a good fight. He was very kind to me there. Okay, so this we don't need for the speed run, but for one of the incentives, we're going to be going on a quick trip to the Dark grocery store, the Dark shopping center here, and we're just going to pick up some blueberries. They look a little gnarly, I'm not going to lie, but they're the last bit of blueberries in this entire universe. And the Firekeeper she really loves blueberries, so we're going to give her these. And even though they look a little gross, she'll take them. And they're right through this illusory wall here. It's lag, though. Pick those up. Yep, those are the blueberries. Bone to last rested. And you know, what are blueberries but small orbs? So there's that, too. But now I'm just going to be running to the next boss, so you can go ahead and read some donations if you want.
Awesome. We have a $1,000 donation by ANC. Thank you to everyone involved donating and watching this for coming together for something wonderful. I never had more fun trying to figure out why everyone is shouting orb. We have an anonymous $300 donation that says, Bloodborne hype. We have a $250 donation by Grinky saying, hey guys, pretty hyped for one of my favorite games, Dark Souls 3. I lost my mom last September to cancer, so I hope we can cure this monster of a disease. Good luck to spacey1, and I'm looking forward to you beating Fried and Gale.
Oh, me too. Frida is a fun fight, but Gale is a really fun fight. And I mean, he's one of those bosses where like speedrunning could ruin him for you a little bit because he also has some habits that in a speedrun are really annoying. But I just love him so much casually that I can't hate Gale. It's just such a fun fight to do, even with those minor annoyances. So I'm going to be using Pale Pine here, just because it's what I have. I haven't had a chance to buy more resin, really, just with the way it's routed. So this is what I could pick up. And DSA doesn't take too much elemental damage anyway, so it doesn't make a huge deal what resin I use. Takes 6 hits to go into phase 2 here. Just walk behind that. And when he staggers, you want to try and get counter hits. He was 1 hit away. I thought I could beat him on that. That's fine, though. Head on. Sorry, I'm just doing some quick inventory stuff. Okay. We're going to take this bonfire. Because the run back to Prince's is another one that's really long. It's like 5 minutes if you don't take any safety bonfires, so just in case. So now I'm going to go ahead and explain equip load and how that relates to like your roll speed stuff. So you may have noticed that like I'm constantly in this run taking off armor, putting armor back on, like putting on, in this case, specific pieces of armor, unequipping my weapon and stuff. That's all basically just to affect my equip load. See my weight ratio in the upper right-hand corner there? It says 30% right now. There are 2 cutoffs, basically, for weight ratio. There's above and below 70, and then there's above and below 30. So 30% and 70%. If you're above 70, you get what we call a fat roll animation for your roll, which is like this really slow kind of... Yeah, it's just like a really slow animation. You also get reduced iframes with your rolls when you fat roll, and then you get nerfed stamina regen as well. Sorry, I was focusing. And so with all of that together, we basically never want to be over 70. Yeah. Missed the fall damage cancel there. That's fine. You never want to be over 70 in the run. We are very careful to never even briefly be at that, because you can very quickly lose time if you have to even regen stamina while you're at 70. But then below 30 has a few advantages, but they're a lot less. Basically, all you get from below 30 in this game is a faster roll, as in literally you roll farther in the same amount of time, so it's like it carries you farther, so it's faster. You don't get increased iframes in this game with a fast roll, which is a common misconception, because DS1 it wasn't that way. You also don't get increased stamina regen below 30 in this game, which again is another misconception. Yeah, that gargoyle does that sometimes. It's nice. Free 4K souls, and he doesn't bother us. But yeah, so we're basically, I'm going to be setting up my equip load so that I have as much defense as possible when I need it. But I still want to be able to fast roll if I'm not too worried. But in fights, it doesn't really help me at all to have fast roll, so I'm going to be wearing armor for fights, or anywhere else where I'm just either not planning on having to roll no matter what, or if I'm just really terrified of taking a lot of damage, I will just put my armor back on. And so that's basically all the menuing. That's the reason I'm like constantly... The very first thing I did at the beginning of the run was go into my inventory, take off the top pieces of my armor. There's an arrow going to land right behind me there. Just so that I could roll a little bit faster on my way to Gundyr. And then I don't bother putting it back on for Gundyr because it's Gundyr. All right, I'm going to quit out on this door. The reason I'm going to quit out on this door is because it... This is another spot, like in a marathon, it's just kind of a crapshoot whether you get hit by these guys before you can roll. Because you get iframes on the door again, but they can hit you right out of them before you can roll. They can also kind of phase through you while you're opening the door and then block you so that you can't get through. So marathon run, we're just not going to mess with that. So I'm just getting equipped for Princess here, and then this is going to be Princess. The less good opener. So I'm mostly going to be trying to stay behind him here because that will minimize how much he teleports. Had to roll that attack. Don't have to roll that one, though. And then I'm also going to be trying to strafe his attacks like that as much as possible, which is another benefit of being behind him, is it tends to bait attacks that you can just walk around, which means I can save stamina for attacking rather than having to use it for rolling. I'm just going to kind of tank some of those orbs. Okay. That's fine. And then I'm trying to hit him in the back here because I want to kill younger Prince Lothric as fast as possible. Ah, that's Princess. That was not a bad fight. Just gonna dupe while I'm waiting for their very long death animation. Cool. Yeah, so on the second phase, basically, younger Prince Lothric, they're playing piggyback. He rides on his brother's back. And he will just revive Lorien infinitely if you only kill Lorien. So you really want to just hit the younger brother as much as possible. And the fight's over as soon as the younger brother's dead as well. So there's no penalty if you only kill Lothric. All right, so now we're going to be running to kind of a secret area, I guess. But, you know, in the days of the internet, nothing is really secret for long. But we need a gesture to get to this area, and it's the gesture we picked up from killing Oceiros. And I'm going to grab another item here. This is Ash's. Quit out on this door. The jailers can block you, and they will pretty much 100% of the time block you, and getting through them is sketchy, so I'm just not going to mess with it. But we're picking this up just to buy resin, which we're going to use for the rest of the run. So these are Xanthus Ashes. But yeah, we're running to Archdragon Peak. We needed to kill Oceiros to get the gesture to get here. And then there's 2 bosses in Archdragon Peak. We're only going to fight one of them now. And we're going to fight the other one later. But the reason we're going there now is to get... The reason we're going there now is to get another set of ashes. And these set of ashes will let us buy our final tier of upgrade materials. Titanite chunks, specifically. There is technically one more tier after that only requires 1 item, and that's a slab, which we will buy later as well. Yeah, so this is Archdragon Peak. The first boss here is intended to be a gimmick fight. Basically, you run straight up to the Wyvern, which is the dragon. Ancient Wyvern is the name of the boss. Shouldn't say it's the dragon. People who are like super into dragon lore will yell at me. But, yeah, he is technically a Wyvern. You're supposed to run up to him, just kind of nope out and go left. And then you climb a bunch of scaffolding, basically, while getting harassed by enemies, run through this whole gauntlet. And then once you get to the top, you can jump down from above, do a plunging attack, and just one-shot him in the head. That's the intended way. We're kind of going to do that. We're just going to take a little shortcut. There's a slightly faster way. So I'm gonna run through his legs here. Dodge that tail. Go through the right instead of the left. Just dupe while I'm waiting for him to get into position, just casually. So I don't have anything else to do here. Get my weapon back out. He's gonna get into position for this attack. And we're just gonna do that. So, yeah, there's where you're supposed to run. When he's doing specific attacks, this little ledge here is just high enough. You can just kind of reach that. And then very quickly while he was dying, I jumped down and grabbed a ring that's not going to be super important for the marathon because I have extra health, but there's a skip later, which requires us to take damage. And you need that ring to survive that damage with 20 vigor, which is the amount we normally get in the run. So it's actually a very important ring in the normal routing. But for us, it's not going to matter too much. But it's still nice to have, because it's a 10% reduction on physical damage. It's not nothing. But we're just running through. We're going to go pick up that item to buy our large chunks. Sorry, chunks, I should say, not large chunks. And then we're just going to go back and do some more shopping. So now's a fine time for some donations as well.
Of course, and we have some really big ones rolling in through here. How about $500? By Stu, who says, appreciate everything you guys do. Keep up the good work. I love you all, and Dark Souls hype. We have another $500 from Trevoke saying, and now I deposit this in my saving. Wait, Bloodborne? Take my money. And speaking of which, we are less than $7,000 away, quickly closing that gap toward Bloodborne. Thank you guys for your charitable donations there so far, and we got a lot of this run left over. So get those donations in.
Yeah, so this part where I'm grabbing the ashes is a bit sketchy here. I'm gonna have a bunch of guys just kind of barreling towards me, and I'm gonna try to basically bone out right before they can hit me. Okay, good. Well, that didn't look nearly as scary as it sometimes does. They can get all caught up on each other and stuff, but it's nice when that happens, 'cause then it's not scary. Okay, so this is gonna be our last level up here. So we're gonna go ahead and place, the cinders here. This is what we get for killing certain key bosses in the game. Cinders that we place here to trigger the final fights. We're gonna place them now. I'm gonna be trying to go for cancels, really. Yeah, basically if you trigger the placement right as you walk off. There we go. And you skip the animation. And as you saw, it's actually pretty lengthy animation. So getting those cancels actually, like, when you really have a good time, you kind of need those. My last level up here, I'm just gonna go for 29 endurance. Then I'm gonna give her the blueberries. And I mashed through that quickly, but she said thank you and that she loves blueberries. Okay, so then I'm just going to give these 2 ashes here. Sell my souls. Then I'm just gonna buy some bundles, some resins, the last of the chunks I need, and then the slab. This will get me to plus 10. Oh. That's everything. Okay. And now I'm just gonna do a little magic trick here in this cutscene. Yep, we got it. So there's an area, you're supposed to be teleported to Darkfire Link here. Some of you may remember, but we're just gonna skip that. You just get teleported to Darkfire Link and then you have to walk up to a bonfire to teleport you here. But we can actually just bone to last rested during the cutscene and it puts us here for some reason. So that's what we did. You have to skip the cutscene, and then you have to bone out without being able to see your inventory. That's just a neat little trick. But so we're entering the DLCs now, and we're coming up on the other hardest trick in the game. It's hard for very different reasons. But we got a bit of a run to get there, but we've got a few things to explain on the way anyway. So first of all, I mentioned at the very beginning of the run that Spook is supposed to kill you if you fall like too far, basically, what the game considers too far. It has kind of a flexible definition of too far. It's intended to keep you from sequence breaking like we have been. But what you do to get past that is you can actually quit out as you hit the ground after casting Spook. And Spook makes it so the game takes a little bit longer than normal to decide that you're dead. If you don't have Spook, or Silver Cat Ring also works. The buffs that Spook and Silver Cat Ring are basically identical, at least the fall damage one. The fall damage part is the same. But you'll take a little bit to die with that on, and then you can just quit out as you hit the ground, but before the game decides that you're dead, and the game will save your position at the bottom, despite, not killing you like it's intended to. So those are what we call Spook quits. They actually work in Dark Souls 1 as well, but the spell is a different name in Dark Souls 1, so we call them fall control quitouts in DS1, or rather DS1 runners do. Just get out of here, wolf. Do that to despawn the other wolf, to get the rest of my armor off here. So yeah, that's gonna be part of what we're doing is a Spook quit. Step 1, I need to break that bridge. If I forget to break that bridge, then you have to do the entire skip again. So shout outs to Kim, who forgot to break that bridge in a marathon race once that we did. So Shoutouts to him. So I'm going to line up my stamina bar with this tree. Use Spook again to buffer the roll. Spam off. This will let me... Oh, that was close. That lag spike almost killed me. But it ate my input, put me in the wrong part of the menu, but I just got it in time. So we're down here. That's step 1. Now this is another death cam skip. So that tells you our goal ultimately is going to be to walk through something that's deloaded, but it's a little bit farther away this time where we need to go. And the other fun thing about death cam, fun in quotation marks. Oh yeah, if I mistime that roll, by the way, I also die. But another fun thing about death cam, fun in quotation marks, is that your controls are messed up. Specifically, it's kind of like tank controls. Turning my character, like hitting left makes my character turn to the left, and hitting right makes them turn to the right. Forward makes you run forward, back just makes you kind of spaz out. But there's also some other weird things about death cam. Like if you get hit or bonk into things, it'll change the way your character's pointed without changing the way they're visibly facing. So your movement once you get bonked or like hit by something can be really unpredictable. Also, I have to dodge arrows while I'm doing this because these enemies are not deloaded. And then here the camera flips, which effectively flips my controls. Good cycle. I can't see, by the way. Just have this memorized. There we go. And that's the hard part. We're done. Oh. So it looks like I'm doing nothing here. I'm actually climbing a ladder. That bridge that we broke at the beginning became a ladder on this side. And so this is the point where if you forgot to break that bridge, you realize it. And I have to tell you, the clip of Kimp doing that in the race is just the funniest thing. I feel so bad for him. And he redid the skip perfect second try again. I'm very proud of him, but it was hilarious. So now this door here to get into the area here, this is not deloaded actually, but past this is. And so there's two things we're gonna do. We're gonna get a shortcut door just to make sure we don't have to do that again, even if I happen to die to Frida. Frida is one of the harder fights. So I'm gonna run over here, grab this door, which I'm not supposed to be able to open from this side as well. And then once this is open, I'm just gonna run straight into the Frida fight. A little lost, there we go. Not used to doing that in real runs, obviously. We just go straight for Frida, and if you die, oh well. Run's dead anyway. But yeah, so I hit that dialogue trigger there. That's how I know I'm through. And I'll take a moment just to turn around and show you the statue that we just walked through, just so you know. But you're supposed to have to go do like minutes of stuff. So even though that skip takes a while, it's like, it still saves like at least a minute and a half. And it skips fighting Wilhelm, which is why we call it Wilhelm skip. But yeah, there's the statue. That's not supposed to be still there when I'm walking through here. Now I just need to equip a few things before I trigger the fight. Make sure I have my resin. I'm kind of just going to focus on Frida. That delayed swing. Okay. Just gonna go invisible, that's fine. I'm actually not gonna go for the backstab since she's back against the wall like that. Casually, if you really want to, you can just wait for that invis and then just backstab her. Okay. That was an okay phase one. Just low. Okay, so I'm gonna bait Father Arindel over here. Try and keep him out of the way of Frida's ice as much as possible. I just heard her teleport, that's good. That's phase 2, that was fine. Now just phase 3. Yeah, that was good Frida RNG. Her first ice attack just didn't go far enough, and then she didn't do a second one, so that's good. So she always opens phase 3 the same way, which means we always punish it the same way. Walk under her, L1, backstab. Anytime you backstab Frida, you can charge an R2 and get 2 more L1s. So that's a lot of damage, as you can see, just right off the opener. And then she's gonna go invisible. Okay. I'll just take the heal for safety. And you can wait to backstab that attack as well, but she's low enough I don't want to. Just finish her. All right, that was fine. I will take that.
Can I also interject really quickly?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you get to see Bloodborne right after this.
So we're in DLC 2 now. So we basically just have DLC 2 now, and then a few mid-game kind of cleanup bosses that we're gonna do after. So we're getting close to the end of the run, kind of. We got one more skip here before Demons, which is our next boss. This skip is tricky, trickier than it looks, because it's 3 jumps kind of in a row, and depending on how you land the first jump and then the second jump, the third jump can be really tricky because you can just like slide out of where you're landing. It'll make more sense once you see me do it, but we'll be there in a little bit. But we can do, say, 2 donations before we get there, I think, at least.
Of course, we have an anonymous $200 donation that says, "Praise the sun and praise this run." We also have a $150 donation from the Roxa saying, "Hi AGDQ, this is my second time donating this week for a cool Dark Souls 3 run, and also in memory of my grandmother who died to cancer. Can I get a praise the sun from the audience?" Excellent, guys. Thank you.
I can't see the audience, but I assume that they did it, so.
We also have a $350 donation from the Soul of Cinder that says, "See you soon."
So this is the jump here. This is where you can slide out, but I got it. So that's first try angel skip, that's nice. Definitely gonna grab this bonfire for marathon here. That's another long run back if you don't grab it. And now is gonna be our second use of bleed in the run as well. I'll explain more about that. First, we're gonna start off with just lightning resin though. So the demons, one of them starts out like red and melee like this, aggroed, and then the other one starts out ranged. I wanna kill the aggro one before the second one goes aggro, while avoiding the ranged attacks. Because those ranged attacks inflict toxic, on top of doing quite a bit of damage. That's good. And if you're fast, you can even get a few hits on the ranged demon before he finishes phasing, so that's good. Nice. That was a pretty good phase 1. Okay, so now I'm going to apply bleed. And remember what I said about the way that bleed proc works. So I'm hitting him. I'm not damaging the boss, but I am building bleed proc. So this makes sure that I get my bleed proc before the fight is over. And then I can kind of loop him here in phase 2 a little bit by kind of staying to his side. He will eventually break out no matter what, though. But we can't just kill the boss that way. But we can get some pre-damage in and not have to deal with his attack RNG for a little bit. So now you saw he started going into his mega attack, the, I don't know, we always just call it the Spirit Bomb. He's gonna start going into it again, which means I can kill him before he gets it off. So. Yeah, and that's demons. That fight can be really trolly. Like, the meteors that he does, the way we do the fight, like, if you have to deal with those meteors, it's really scary. They do a lot of damage. So it's really sketchy if you don't at least just only need like one more hit. But we're heading to our next skip now. I'm not going to say what the next boss is going to be. Leave that to be a surprise, I guess. But we're going to be doing a set of skips here, 2 skips right in a row to get down to the next boss. I keep taking my armor off. I don't actually want my armor off here. Yes, we're just making our way downtown right now. We're going to have to do some setup for this skip, but it saves enough time that it is well worth it. So why don't we go ahead and get a donation or 2 in while I'm setting up. Oh, that's fat rolled.
No worries. We have $100 donations from HS that says, Dark Souls shows that no matter how bleak the world may look, the smallest embers can light up the world. Let our donations be the spark to eliminate the curse of cancer once and for all. Thanks to everyone involved for setting up such a great event and to all who have donated.
That's a good example there of accidentally, or sure, we'll say it's on purpose. It's a good example of like how much attention you have to pay to your inventory in this game. Like I accidentally was fat rolling there for a little bit, and the reason was because I had the wrong gloves on. Like, you just really have to pay attention to your menuing in this game. We can go ahead and get one more donation though.
How about a $1,000 donation? An anonymous one that says, watching one of my favorite games with awesome commentary while helping to kill cancer and get another one of my favorites into the marathon? Just shut up and take my money.
All right, so we're actually starting the skip now. We need this bug to come with us. We also need him to not jump off the edge, which he sometimes is a fan of doing. He shouldn't if I manipulate him correctly, but you never know. Yeah, so I'm using parries to manipulate him. I hit him 3 times to aggro him. So I'm now luring him back to the area where I killed the giant. This is why I had to kill the giant. You don't have to do that casually. I'm baiting him over here with parries for some reason. Cast Spook. Partial that on purpose so that he doesn't stagger me. And then he will always follow up with this, which if I position myself correctly, clip me through the floor. And then I have to do a spook quit out like that. And that's the skip. And the bug has a line where he says, I shall partake when he does the grab attack. So that's why we call that partake skip. But the thing about that, like basically the way that it works is that if you've ever been grabbed by that attack casually, the bug kind of like lays you down at his feet after he's done munching on you. And so if we're up on the stairs and he is not, he will actually clip us through the stairs in order to put us down at the height of his feet, which is very nice of him. But we're immediately going to be into another skip, and this one has not been shown at a GDQ yet, or any marathon for that matter. This is the new elevator clip that we will be using. I'm going to position myself in the corner here. Get my camera lined up a certain way here. And if I fall during the out of bounds, I will just go the old way. This is what I was using the storm roller for. Nice, that's the elevator clip. Now, okay. We're not screwed yet. I can quit out, save that, and hopefully I just don't get the infinite fall where you load back in and immediately fall off again. Obviously, you try not to do that, but this pillar is super annoying to get around. Like, you want to get around it fast, but it extends so far. Oof. Okay. There we go. We did it. Now we're dropping down onto what we can't see now, but it'll load in when we hit it. So this is a 1 pixel wide wall. I fell. Yeah, you have to jump around an invisible wall there. That's fine, but that's most of the out of bounds. So we got to do the old way now. And the old way is actually another partake skip. So if you're a fan of partakes, we're going to get to partake again. This one is easier than the other one. We got to do a quick spook quit out here. Yeah, you have to jump over an invisible wall there. And it's like you're jumping from a 1 pixel wide wall onto another 1 pixel wide wall. So it's that jump, if you mistime it a little bit, you can easily fall off. But fortunately, it puts us in a good position to go back and do the old way. So it's not the worst thing that could happen. I need to put my helmet back on here too, so I'm going to be taking damage. Since I'm down here, I guess I'll grab this bonfire, just in case. This run back's annoying, because Midir is aggroed already up in the sky there, if you have to run back down here. All right, so I'm going to make sure I have my shield out. Use daggers to aggro the bug. See, he'll do the same attack sequence that you recognize. And I position myself right about here. And if I did it right, just clip through these stairs. So we're still out of bounds. You will recognize where we are at momentarily. Just drop off here. You want to make sure not to drop off too far to the right. There's a kill box there. And look who it is. It's Midir. So now we don't have to fight Bridge Midir. We can just go down here and fight him here. And if I do my movement consistently here, I can manipulate the same attacks every time, so that's what I'm trying to do. Nah, it's out too long. This is still fine though. Yeah, this claw attack is what I wanted to get there. Manipulating the second one is easy, even if you missed the first, so. I might actually be able to show another thing off here. Oh, okay, no, never mind. If you get enough damage in, yeah, he was one hit off. If you get enough damage in before he goes phase 2, his face will actually just immediately explode as soon as he finishes phase 2, rather than you having to hit him there. But I didn't quite get enough damage in, so. That's Midir. So now we have this, every speedrunner hates this boss. I mean, some people like, this is yet again another Demon Souls throwback, basically. It's reminiscent of Old Monk in Demon Souls. But the NPC version that you have to fight when offline in this run is just so obnoxious. NPC fights in this game in general are obnoxious because they can roll a lot and just waste you so much time because they just decide to play really passive. And this fight is no exception. First, though, I'm going to take this way down the elevator so that I can grab Chloranthy +3, which is our last ring. And again, it's a stamina regen increasing ring, and stamina regen is very valuable when we can get it. Oops. And I'm going to grab those. Those are just some extra blossoms. Yeah, so he's right in here. First of all, we're going to kill Argo. You don't have to kill Argo. He will die on his own, but it's faster if you kill him. The fight starts faster. And Argo's kind of annoying just on his own, depending on the way he opens the fight, but we're just going to be getting behind him, basically, and trying to stay behind him to kill him. It'll take me 8 L1s. Yeah, this is the opener I don't want. I have to run back this way. This is fine, though. There we go. Okay, now the Painting Guardian will spawn. No backstab. So now I'm kind of on a time limit. I really need to kill this Painting Guardian before Half-Light spawns. Okay. This could be a rough cycle now. That was my fault. We want him to keep his bow out like this. This is good. Wow, he was exceptionally nice to me there. Like, literally bow the entire time. And I mean, I will admit, I screwed up that fight and he just gave it to me anyway. So, you know, when the game hands you a win, you just gotta take it. So what's annoying about that boss, since you didn't get to see it, is that his katana, when he's two-handing it, he can just get basically the player equivalent of 2 free R2s in on you, and it's a true combo. And if you're like at all below full health, it will just kill you immediately. When he has his shield out, he can parry you, except when he's already in another animation. So that's another thing that's annoying. If he goes shield, that's like the worst thing. You just have to back out and make him pull something else out most of the time. And just that together, that just makes that fight potentially really annoying. But now we're coming up to Gale. I love Gale. Gale is your reward for putting up with Half-Light. Though Gale can also be annoying because he likes to jump away a lot in phase 1 and phase 3. But I still love him so much because it's just such a good fight. So I'm kind of just going to try to focus on the Gale fight here once we get in it. That attack also wastes time if you can't manage to interrupt it, which depends on when he decides to do it. Notice he can strafe his jump there, though. That should be phase 2. No. See, he was like about to go phase 2 and decided to just jump away instead. Yeah. For phase 2. That's a good opener. Going to immediately roll in. I'm trying to stagger him there so he can't do that jump, just to save a little time. Oh, good. I was hoping he'd do that follow-up. Nice. That's Gale. And with that, we're done with the DLCs. We're just got a few cleanup bosses, and then we'll head into the last boss here. So next up, we have Champion Gravetender. So I guess we're not technically done with the DLCs because we have to go back and get Champion Gravetender. This is why we got that bonfire at the beginning of Wilhelm skip, so we can get down to Gravetender. It's actually really funny because going down the routes, like the way that I went up, is kind of the intended way for getting to Gravetender, and it's actually like the only intended way of getting to Gravetender. But as speedrunners, we have like 5 different ways to get down to Gravetender, and none of them is the routes, because the routes is just by far the slowest. So it's funny watching this run evolve, all the different ways we've used to get to Gravetender over the years, and how like none of them have been the intended way. So there's a strat you can do here that's a little bit slower, where you're running around to the back, kill the dogs first, and then kill Gravetender, but we're going to go YOLO Gravetender. Saves about 6 seconds at most. But it makes this strat a lot more fun, this fight a lot more fun. Because otherwise this is like kind of a trash mob NPC fight, and that was a good wolf pattern. So we're looking good right now. We just got to kill Gravetender before the wolf gets here. That's a good example of why NPC enemies are annoying. And then this NPC enemy can both roll and block. This is not what I want to see from the wolf, though. That's fine. It's just slow. See, as soon as I get him to phase 2, the fight's over. But that was a really good champion, at least. I'm glad I got to show off YOLO Gravetender. That's a cool strat. It's just you can get triple hit by the wolves or hit by the wolves and Gravetender there, and it can kill you really, really fast. Or if like the wolves just stay really far away and you don't get a chance to kill them. And then if you have to chase them around and Gravetender, it can just get really hectic really fast. Well, that's why that strat is a bit risky. And now, Nameless, this boss received a lot of hype when the game first came out for being one of the hardest. I don't think that's wrong necessarily. He's not one of the hardest in the speedrun, but he's not one of the easiest either. In the speedrun, probably the most annoying thing about him is the chicken in phase 1, because the chicken has like 2 openers, and there's one that's like a lot easier to punish than the other one. So we'll see. That's a good opener. And that's why that's good opener. Just immediate fried chicken. And you always want to finish the chicken off with a riposte because it skips its death animation. That sucks. I'm missing a strat here because I staggered him too late, so I have to do this a little differently now. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, so if you stagger him... So if you stagger him while he's still doing the lightning slam attack, he'll actually start doing that again immediately right after you stagger him. But I just kind of got clipped by the lightning there, and so that's why I didn't get it in time. So I just went for the riposte for safety. Now we just got to run to ODK. This is the second to last boss. Poor ODK. He was, he's kind of intended to be a mid or even early game boss. You're supposed to fight him with like probably a +4, maybe a +5 or something. But we have a +10 now, so we're just going to come back and bully him because the category demands it. While we're running through here, we can just take some donations.
Of course, we got $100 from Green Fairy that says, my fiance introduced me to GDQ and I introduced him to the Dark Souls series. It seemed appropriate to donate in his honor during this run. Thanks to all the runners and staff that put this event together. Praise the PCF. We have an anonymous $500 donation that says, thanks to all the runners and staff for putting on an amazing marathon for such a good cause. You all rock. Shout out to my brother watching this stream. Praise the sun.
So this is ODK. He has 1 defense and only 1 defense. And it only happens if you get bad positioning anyway. I'll explain it after. Yeah, that's ODK. Poor ODK. So ODK's 1 defense is his Hammer of Soul Trapping. If you're positioned incorrectly when you stagger him the last time, he can actually clip you into his hammer, and then you just kind of can get hit with the AoE, and you still actually won't even die, even with the normal amount of vigor. So poor ODK, that's his only defense, and it's still not, oh, that's the wrong warp. Still not enough to kill you. But we're finishing up the run, so what we're gonna do for the Killer Save the Firekeeper incentive is Tech is they're gonna tell me, but chat's not gonna know. So the way this happens is we're gonna trigger a specific ending after we kill the last boss, and then there's gonna be a cutscene, and then I'm gonna have player control briefly, and I can choose whether to kill her. If I don't kill her, then it'll just fade out into a different ending. So definitely, if I kill her, you will know that we got the kill ending because it will be clear. So this is the last boss here. So there is one strat I can kind of go for here with Syndra that's cool. Okay. It's actually a little lower of a hit count than I want, but we'll see. I'm still going to go for it. Yeah, you can roll that AoE, by the way. Yep. Staggered him out of the wombo. And that's the game. So time ends when I summon the Firekeeper. So I'll call time in a little bit. And time.
What do you guys in the crowd think? Sparing or kill?
The first flame quickly fades. Darkness will shortly settle. But one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness. Like embers linked by lords past. Ashen One, hearest thou my voice still?
I practiced that fake out to make sure I didn't accidentally kill her. So I just really quickly shout out the people who've supported me forever through my inconsistent streaming schedule, all the runs and everything. Horst, Skell, Mario, Enduritize, Radial, and my wife, of course, Tragic Kiwi. I want to thank B3 for modding this game to make sure it's playable. I want to thank Dist for trying his best to make this unplayable with all the skips and stuff. Nems for all the work he's done pushing the time lower, and all the beginner resources he's put for us as well. And then Speed Souls as a whole for existing and helping me get into this. So if you want to learn how to do this kind of stuff, please visit our Discord. We love to help people. But that's going to do it for me. So thanks, guys.
What an excellent display of Dark Souls 3, all bosses by Spacey. We have a $100 donation coming through from Squigglebutts. Hey everyone, longtime watcher, but first year I'm getting to watch live and donate. So happy to be able to contribute to such an excellent cause, as so many people in my life have been affected by cancer. Please put my incentive toward killing cancer and the animals. We have a $50 donation coming in from Nero Chaos, saying, "You are the best." Yes, you. We have a $307 donation coming in from Sam saying, "This is such a nice event and for such a good cause." Donation goes to Announcer's Choice. And speaking of which, we have still have a couple of donation incentives to be met throughout the rest of the marathon. Up next will be Super Gracie World Thumb Shredder. And that's just under 70K away to be met. So I'm putting my Announcer's Choice toward that. We have a $250 donation coming in from Orcon, saying, "I always enjoy watching and donating to GDQ. An awesome week of gameplay for an amazing cause is always worth the sleep deprivation." Donation goes to Thumb Shredder. Coming in, we have an $800 donation from Juki. It says, "Cool runs you've got there. It'd be a shame if you didn't meet your donation goals." All right, we're going to be taken away to an interview of Quickie World.
Welcome back to AGDQ 2019. I am Darkman78, and right after Bloodborne, which thanks to your donations was met just a while ago, so thank you very much. So after Bloodborne is going to be a run of Quickie World, and we have the two runners, GlitchCat7, RBMACHOK here, and we also have a very special guest, the developer of the game, Valdio. Welcome, fellas.
Hey,
Hi.
thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start off with you, GlitchCat. You're no stranger to kind of like the Mario game scene. You've obviously, at SGDQ recently, you were just in the Mario Maker game, race. So kind of talk to me about like this perspective now. You're still in a race, so it's still like, an intense race, but it's a little bit different, right? It's a game that's a lot different than Mario Maker. So kind of talk to me about like, Quickie World a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Super Mario World, opposed to Maker, was always kind of my home. That's where I came from. I played Maker for a little while, but I have much more of a lifelong connection with Mario World. And I do think it's a race, and we're both trying to do our best and win. But and I think RB would say the same. That we're really good friends, and we have a history racing together. So it's an exhibition, I feel like, framed as a race, and win or lose, like I'm just really happy to share the stage with my buddies and just put on a good show.
Cool, awesome. So RB, so this is your first GDQ, correct?
Right.
First GDQ you've ever attended?
Oh no.
Oh, so you've attended before?
I attended before twice.
Okay. But this is the first run you've had.
Right.
You a little bit nervous?
Yeah, I'm a little bit excited, a little bit nervous, but it's gonna be my first time here, so I'm gonna do my best.
Both of you are pretty close in the PBs in this category, correct? So I believe you're number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So you guys are obviously pretty good at this game. Does that maybe put a little bit more pressure on you, GlitchCat? Because you're the world record holder, but he's right behind your tail.
Yeah. I think especially with this game and even with some other games, we've I think always kind of pushed each other to do better. That he would get a new PB and I'd be like, man, that was really good. Like I gotta go for that. And then I would get something lower, and I like that kind of iron sharpens iron sort of thing where we are encouraging each other to just do better and push a little bit harder for it. Even while we were sitting like in the practice room working on this, we were finding new strats and like, oh man, like when we get back, we're gonna go for the world record with like these weird new strats we found. So we're still like learning and developing together. I really like that about our relationship as runners.
Yeah.
Awesome. So RB, the game Quickie World, it's a very, as the game name implies, it's very fast. It's a very short kind of game. So talk to me about like the fact that it's so short, but yet, so maybe even one death in a stage could cost you the race. Like, how does that kind of play into your emotions?
So first, I don't have to worry about that too much. So even let's put the example that we start at the same time and I die first, right? Then after that, I don't have to worry about it because I just need to keep going because I know that maybe Glitch is going to die after. So if he died just once, I can catch up really quick. So I'm not worried about that. I will be worried about it if I die like 3 times in the same stage.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity for dynamic kind of changes because I think we're also going to be going for some strats.
Yeah.
Some really tough, that used to be task only, like some 5-second time saves here and there. To show off the tricks and have a good time with it. So I think it's going to be a dynamic race, and the person in the lead at this moment might not necessarily be the one coming in clutch. So we had some races in the practice room that we finished within like a couple of seconds of each other.
That's
so
cool.
I feel like it's probably going to be pretty tight right up.
Yeah, I hope it's going to be a pretty amazing race. I'm going to give it all.
Cool. So Valdio, I want to talk to you for a second. You are, of course, the creator of this game. Tell me about your thought process into making the game. So obviously, it's a very fast-paced, Kaizo-esque game, as you guys like to call it. It's a lot different than games in the same genre, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. Usually, Kaizo tends to be really unforgiving, and people they want to make you suffer. And I want to take a different approach to it, where I didn't want to troll the player. I want to give him like a sort of a get your feet into Kaizo kind of. Not have the player be really frustrated. So newer players can, beat a level in a couple of hours. Experienced players can beat the hack in under an hour. But not at any point do the deaths feel like they're cheap. And we also have like the retry system, which makes deaths go like this. They don't have to go to the overworld. You don't have to listen to the death jingle. It just keeps going all the time.
Gotcha. But have you been maybe a little bit surprised to see how the speedruns have been? Is this what you expected? What do you think of the speedrun of this game?
No, I was not expecting this at all. I think that this game has become more than a just don't die Kaizo speedrun. It's become a run where not only you don't have to die, you have to create like really cool strats, very risky strats that save only like maybe a second or so. These guys are going to be doing that like really, like for example, Glitch's PB is under 12 minutes, and you cannot do that if you mess up even like one speed strat that we have.
Awesome. All right, so you're the one with the experience. You've made this game. You have the knowledge. You know these two competitors. Throw it down. Who's going to win?
Oh, man. All right.
You can say nothing. You can say no one. Say the game is going to win. That's OK.
Well, no.
OK.
I mean, I would say per the GDQ curse, second place is going to get first place in the race. I'm also rooting for RB because we're both from Mexico. So, he's representing our community.
All right, well then, Glitch, I'll root for you.
Yeah,
thank you. We gotta have both representation. Well, yeah, that's gonna do it for us. I want to once again thank GlitchCat7, RBMACHOK, and Valdio.
Thank you for having us.
These are gonna be the runners, and of course the creator of Quickie World. So that is gonna be coming up right after Bloodborne. So until then, we're gonna go ahead and throw it over to the host.
Thank you guys very much.